King Solomon's story. And after that, I'll share a little story about how it links with me. King Solomon stood on his balcony, looking down at his courtyard below. There he could see his servant Benaiah. Benaiah was speaking to all the other servants. I have never let the king down. Anything that he has asked of me, anything he has said, I have always done. I have never let the king down. King Solomon, looking down, thought that Benaiah needed to be taught a lesson, and so he asked him to present himself in court. Yes, sire, said Benaiah. Is it true that you have never let me down? Anything that I've asked of you, you have done? Yes, sire. Very well then, I will set you a task, and I will give you a year and a day to complete it. Of course, sire, anything you ask. I want you to find me a ring that will make sad people happy and happy people sad. Yes, sire. Benaiah knew that because the king had asked this of him, of course it was possible. Why would the king ask him for it otherwise? And so the first thing that he did was he went into the markets where all the gold jewelry and the silver jewelers and all of the jewelry shops were. And there he started asking them one by one, tell me, do you have a ring that will make a sad person happy and a happy person sad? And the goldsmiths and the silversmiths, they looked at him and they showed him necklaces and they showed him anklets and they showed him bracelets and they showed him rings. But no one had ever heard of a ring that made sad people happy and happy people sad. Fine, I will go down to the seashore where the sailors were just coming in from having traveled across the 7 seas, for they have seen amazing wonders and they have met magicians, and of course they will know if such a ring exists. And so he went down to the seashore, and the sailors were just pulling in, and they had let down their anchors, and they were coming off the boats. And he went up to them and he said, tell me, do you have a ring that will make a sad person happy and a happy person sad? And the sailors, they told him about all their travels. They told him about magic carpets that flew through the air. They told him about deep sea dragons that lived deep down under the waters. They told him of mermaids that combed their hair and sang so beautifully that they lured the sailors to their death. But no one had heard of a ring that would make a sad person happy and a happy person sad. Benaiah didn't give up hope. He went through the whole kingdom, knocking at every door, speaking to every single person. Nobody had heard of such a ring. He went outside his kingdom. He traveled far and wide across so many lands that he came back a storyteller. But he himself had not found this ring. And now there was but a day left before he had to present himself in the court of King Solomon. And it would be the first time that he had let the king down. That night, Benaiah did not sleep well. You know how it is. When there's something sitting on your chest, it feels like a huge weight, and you toss and you turn, but you can't get any sleep. The next morning, even before the sun had rose, Benaiah had already made his way out of his house. He was so worried. He kept pacing back and forth. I have to present myself in front of the king soon, and I still don't have the ring that will make a sad person happy and a happy person sad. What am I going to say to him? I'm going to let his majesty down. Benaiah started making his way towards the palace. when just next to the palace, he saw an alley that he had never seen before, and he found his feet making their way down that alley. And right towards the end of the alley, there stood a young boy with a table in front of him, which had tin jewelry, the kind that poor people wore. And it had necklaces, and it had bracelets, and it had anklets, and it had earrings, and it had rings. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was the place where he would find what his heart was looking for. He rushed over to the young boy, and the boy was a little bit taken aback. "Yes, sir, can I help you? Tell me, do you have a ring that will make a sad person happy and a happy person sad?" "No, sir, I'm sorry, he was really shy. I can't help you." That had been the last hope. Benaiah turned, his heart heavy, his head low, his feet sinking into the ground, not wanting to leave this alley, when suddenly he heard a voice behind him. "Sir, I think I can help you." He turned, and there behind the boy stood his grandfather, a tall man with a white beard and a white mustache, kind of like a Father Christmas. Would he bring him the gift that Benaiah sought? "Sir, I think I can help you. Please come." So Benaiah came, and he stood there once again in front of that table with the tin jewelry. And the old man, he picked up one of the rings, one of the tin rings. Then he picked up a nail, and he scratched something on the surface. And this he gave to Benaiah. Benaiah took the ring, turned it. Yes, this is it. This is the ring that I've been seeking. And heart feeling as light as a feather, he practically ran out of that alley to the palace, and there he presented himself in front of King Solomon. King Solomon and all his courtiers had been sitting in court, surrounded by all their finery, velvet drapes, silk carpets, gold and silver on his throne, not to forget the emeralds and the diamonds and the rubies that shone from behind him. "Yes, Benaiah, have you done what I have asked?" Knowing full well that he had not, because he had set him an impossible task. And so great was his surprise when not only did he see Benaiah smiling, but holding out a ring. Where moments before King Solomon had been laughing, his smile fell. He passed the ring to each one of his courtiers, and one by one, their faces dropped. All the laughter, all the gossiping that was happening in the court slowly died down, till there was a pin drop silence. And then King Solomon took that ring, and he went outside the palace gates, where there sat two lines of beggars lining the street in hope of maybe just one meal to fill their hungry bellies that day. And he gave them the ring one by one. And where before their faces had been dejected, had been sad, suddenly they broke out into a smile. Do you want to know what the ring said? "This too shall pass."